Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Bad Call, the podcast that proves the refs aren't the only ones who get it wrong. With me, as always, is Justin and Finn. What's going on, fellas?
What is happening? It's July.
Yeah, July 1. We're starting it up.
2024, halfway in the books.
Am I allowed to speak now?
Generally, no. So summer's halfway over. So it's been about 3 weeks since we've recorded. So what's been going on, guys?
Not a whole lot. Just
these are hard questions.
Barbara Walters special. I asked you what's going on. How are we going to get through the rest of the episode?
I have been spending most of my free time getting ready for a high school graduation party that we'll be hosting at the house here in about a week and a half, and it sucks. That's about the best I can say of it. It's some of the deep cleaning has been long overdue, but planning, prepping, adding up my tiers next to the receipts for everything that it's going to cost to put this dang thing on.
Oh, I thought it's because you were emotional because your daughter graduated. I should have realized what it was really about.
Well, yeah.
No, those tears are because she's going to a rival. That's the.
Is that what she decided?
There's a whole lot of things wrapped up in one.
Indiana. 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 Oh, you got to learn the song, man.
No, nobody will be asking you to sing at the Indy 500. Jim Neighbors, you're not.
Oh no, that's
or
Indiana
on this podcast in any future episodes.
That's
for the
Indiana
record.
University fight song. That's a hot state motto. We will fight for the cream and crimson.
Where's that mute button for him again? Jeez, oh Pete's.
Goodness.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's fun with the cost of everything as it is, and then the emotional toll too. So just crying over what you're spending and getting ready to say goodbye to your oldest. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy my time with my kids until then. What about you, Finn? What's been going on?
City stuff. I know it sounds completely boring, but nothing feels so good as to knowing that as of a couple hours ago, we've secured probably the most experienced, polished city manager we've had in my 5 years of dealing with shit. And I know it sounds, like I said, it sounds lame, but I've gone through 8 of these mofos. And so the fact that we actually got one in state, that the rest of the state's willing to come here is great. So I can actually fix our water, fix our roads, fix trails, logistics.
I need the maths on that one. You said in 5 years, and you're on your 8th.
Yeah, the 8th between the interims, the pro tems, and the actual city manager. I'm on my 8th one. That includes my wife having to do it for part of last year.
So somebody needs to look at who's doing the hiring.
Well, it was the feuding, it was the backstabbing, it was the litigation, all sorts of just craziness around here. Like,
this is the part where you plug your book,
right.
Tales of Tillamook or whatever it is you're going to call it, and
well, I tell you what, true
the
to life.
Straits of Garibaldi. What do you?
There's an Xbox video game series called People Are Strange. It is literally based on Garibaldi. It's based, the art city of Arcadia Bay in there is literally mapped from Garibaldi.
Fact checking.
Yeah, I know.
Real House Husbands of Garibaldi.
Right. What's the name of that? People Are Strange? People Are Strange Xbox game. People Are Strange is something else. I'll look it real quick. It's on a local group here. Yeah, People Are Strange. That's interesting that if you search People Are Strange in Garibaldi, it's like a Reddit stream right away of like, hey, that's like...
Really? This is what we're spending our time on this call?
Oh, this is what we're editing our time on here.
I want to switch my bad call of the week.
I'm just looking that it's saying here the population is a little over 800, and you've had 8 city managers.
Oh,
like
yeah.
1% of your population has been a city manager at this point.
Oh, yeah, it's actually fucking nuts out here.
All right, well, that's fun. All right, before we get on to our bad call of the week, I'd like to remind you to go ahead and hit that like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on the platform you're choosing to listen to us on. Make sure you are notified whenever we get new episodes. Also, you can find us at Another Bad Call on any social media platform for the most part. And also head over to anotherbadcall.com where you will find a little bit more content. And with that, let's go ahead and move on into our bad call of the week. Damn, that came in loud that time. All right, Finn.
It comes in loud every time.
You're eager to talk today, so let's get into your bad call of the week.
The Clippers handling of Paul George. In 2019, they acquired Paul George from the Thunder for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Gallinari, and 5 first-round picks. Earlier today, they had an offer from the Warriors for a sign-and-trade deal that included Kuminga, Wiggins, Moody, and Chris Paul, plus a first-round pick from the Warriors in exchange for Chris Paul. They said no. They tried to re-sign him, and they got nothing. In fact, in the next draft or two, they still have to give picks to the Thunder. End up being one of the worst deals in NBA history, and since it's from the rivals of the Warriors, I don't care. It's awesome.
I'm going to give you a round of applause. That was very good. You got through that pretty quick. All right. Justin, your turn. What's going on with your bad call of the week?
All right. Well, let's call this 1A and 1B. 1A of my bad call of the week is that travesty of a presidential debate that we had the other night. I think that's enough said on that subject. It was just sickening. But for a fresher take, even for a game that just finished minutes ago, the U.S.-Uruguay Copa America matchup, the last game of the round-robin round, and U.S. needed to basically match whatever Panama did to make it to the knockout stage. And the federation that's running this tournament decides to put a new referee in who had not refereed at a high level as the head match before, and this guy was terrible.
In a dramatic and controversial incident during Copa America, referee Kevin Ortega refused to shake hands with USA captain Christian Pulisic following a heated confrontation.
Miscalled. He had a couple of fouls early that he miscalled. He gave a yellow card to a U.S. player on a play that clearly the foul was committed by the Uruguay player. He was not calling an even match, and it really, the U.S. played very well in the first half, but this referee took away a lot of the momentum and whatnot. Now, Uruguay is a very good team, so I don't know that they would have been able to pull this game out in the end. Actually, Uruguay did score later in the game, and that goal was a little bit of a controversy as well because on the rebound, the player who scored was offside. There were just a lot of little ticky-tack things. I just can't imagine why you would put a new ref in a match of this magnitude rather than put him in some friendlies, let him get his feet wet like that. His previous experience was as a fourth referee on the sideline, so just a bad call.
Can't argue with that. And mine's going to be former Oakland Raiders quarterback. And that's right. I said Oakland because that's who they were. Jamarcus Russell, according to a Yahoo Sports article, accepted a $74,000 check from a local business owner that was intended to be a donation for the football team to purchase weight room equipment. He deposited that check into his personal account and then withdrew $55,000. Now, this is bad calls all around because I think we can all agree that it was a bad call by the Raiders to draft him in the first place. Probably a bad call to hire him, this high school team. And then a bad call on Jamarcus's part. Well, sorry, bad call by the business owner to give the check to Jamarcus, and then another bad call by Jamarcus to do what he did because you're just robbing from kids at that point in time. Bastard. So bad calls all over the place.
Boo.
Yeah, and on that happy note and degeneracy, Let's say we move on to Tales of a Degenerate.
I'm not-
All right, our resident degenerate. We always start. What
I'm
you
not
got, buddy?
sure that I want to be thrown in the same breath as Jamarcus Russell. That's kind of low right there. But
You have the same body type he had when he was starting for the Raiders.
Anyway, jeez. My bad call there. The leads kind of into this. Copa America, the Euro 2024 are going on, and that's about the only interesting athletics that I've been able to find to watch. I know there's some Olympic trials and stuff like that, and just not ready to get into that stuff. But and what's that? America's pastime or whatever. I don't know. That's just enough to bore me to tears. But the international soccer tournaments that are going on have been pretty compelling, and I've been, placing a few wagers on things. I wanted to highlight one bet that I made. This is a PSA to understand what you are actually betting when you place a bet, because the soccer, the soccer rules and betting rules are a little bit different, and you have to look at the fine print, because I actually placed a bet in the England Slovakia knockout game yesterday, and it was a 4-leg parlay with England money line, Harry Kane anytime goal scorer, Jude Bellingham shots on target 1 or more, and over 1.5 England total goals. Now, all 4 of those things actually did happen. However, 3 of the things happened after regulation time, being that England won the game. Harry Kane's goal was in the extra time, and the total goals that they scored to get over the 1.5, one of them was in the extra time. So it's very important to note that a lot of these bets on these are only eligible for things that happen within regulation, unless the betting market specifically states that. So,
that sucks.
Kind of hurts to see that those things happen when it would have been a nice take on that wager. So, just if you're betting in markets that you're not 100% familiar with, please take the time to check it out, because you might be surprised what happens there. So
I'm really surprised that the anytime goal scorer doesn't count in the overtime or penalty time. Like, that's, I mean, any time, and then saying it only counts during your regular time.
Well, it does actually say right under it.
Well, I know, it's
print.
just yeah. It's just funny for it to say anytime and then also doesn't count anytime, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Finn, you actually raised your hand here, so what's going on?
You mentioned the Olympic trials, Justin. Are you actually betting on the Olympic trials?
Not at all. I don't think you can.
Okay.
To be honest,
I didn't know.
I haven't seen those markets available.
My wife is playing fantasy Olympic trials. She is in a fantasy gymnastics league.
You could do it, Kimmy.
Yeah. That's right. Kippy Strug.
All right.
Classic. All right. I have no tales of degeneracy, so Finn, you're up, buddy.
So I owe Justin $20. This is literally the next day after we recorded announcing our bet. It came out that Coleman Hawkins got a what the fuck $2 million NIL deal to go to all Kansas State. So sure, Justin reads the boards more than he probably should. He's on his Illinois Illini boards, this, that, and the other, and he had his inside sources, and hey, they hit. Good job to you. Don't get me wrong, good job. But statistically speaking, it wasn't a bad bet to take on my side. Just because you won doesn't mean I was necessarily wrong. For all the poker you've ever played, everything on the math said it was a statistical chance was still on my side. You're talking about the dude was the number 21st ranked transfer according to one of them, 24/7. On 3 had him as 17. Now NCAA Bill Katz had him as 1 after the trade, but no, Andy Katz. Screw that dude. But not only that, Coleman Hawkins deals like there's a top 10 NI deal in all of NCAA sports. I mean, it was, and for NCAA and for Kansas State, a football school, they've just inflated their own NAI deals for all their other players. So, I mean, like I said, get his. I'm happy for him that he got his. I honestly still wish he'd have gone to Illinois for your guys' competition's sake, but him getting the number 20th ranked NAI deal, getting the number 20th ranked transfer prospect, getting the number 1 NAI deal is just, it's not, have at it. You won. Good job.
Well, your line here says that you were not wrong, but clearly you were wrong. Clearly you misread.
I lost does not mean I was wrong. For all the poker player and you played, everything on the stats said that wasn't a bad bet to take. I missed doesn't mean I was wrong. It just means because that number didn't fall my way. Just
because you weren't paying attention to what has been going on in those markets, and you were adamant about how he was. There's no way. I would have thought that you were actually looking at some of the stuff that was out there, because
I've read about Blogger Aftermarkets, and there was a possibility it was going to hit. But for Coleman Hawkins,
pretty widely known that he was the top guy. Maybe he's not the top guy.
He's not the top 10 guy.
Since the end of, depending on your sources, I've seen several of them that had him as top 5.
They're probably all on your Illini board too.
We're not here to argue what he was ranked by some sources. Marcus Damask last year, by all accounts, was like number 50. But if you would go back and show what he did throughout the season, he clearly would have been a top 5 guy. But that's not what the bet was about. The bet was about what was he going to draw in NIL money, and he at the time was the best guy left on the board available in a market that was shrunk, and you had desperate players, and you still had money coming in to these schools. So it was pretty clear that he was going to get a big deal.
Yeah, thanks for mansplaining.
That's why I laid the bet out there.
And it's fine. It's $20 well spent. But you're talking about Kansas State just inflated their whole NIL market for every other player. There's not only no one else on this team got that, no one on their big market, their football team got that. You're talking one of the top NIL deals in all of NCAA sports to a guy who just, and I'm happy he got his. Don't get me wrong. Anytime a player can sit there and push the market boundaries, I'm happy for the players and the system as a whole. But mathematically, he didn't deserve it. He got it, but he didn't. It wasn't. It was overvalued.
But I should be pushing for $40 because he got double what I said he was going to get.
He did said that. I made that joke first, so should have make the joke first. But I mean, like I said, I'm happy for him, but. It was overvalued, and Kansas State has now probably screwed their entire NIL market for it. Good luck to you. I'm
gonna appeal to JD here as the one in the
other
middle.
Illini fan. Yeah, that's biased. That's unbiased.
But he didn't have anything going in this back and forth discourse or so.
Yeah.
Referee, can you ring this one dead?
Illinois
please?
fan, please rule on an NIL signing for an Illinois plum.
I'm going to rename the segment to Tales of a Sore Loser. The bet was not whether or not he's worth it. The bet was whether or not he was going to get it. That was the bet. You can have the conversation whether he's worth it or not. The point is the bet was made over how much he would get, not how much he's worth. He got more than what you said. Moving on. All right. Now that we got all that passionate out of the way, let's really calm things down here with bleeding hearts, and we're going to. So here we go. All right. I will start off the Bleeding Hearts by talking about something that I am a lot more passionate about than arguing over NIL deals. One of my favorite parts of the, we'll call it off season, because I don't really count preseason as, in-season football, is Hard Knocks. And they are doing a new one. They're doing an off-season one, right? We've talked about this before. They're going to do an off-season with the Giants. Hopefully that comes out soon. That'd be really cool. Then it got announced that they're going to do the training camp version with Chicago, which is, take it or leave it, depending on how you feel about your team being on there. But it's nice to get that inside look. It ought to be pretty cool, especially since we've got, two pretty exciting rookies to be watching. Potentially 4. I don't know how we want to look at it.
And free agents and
right,
a lot of change.
And then it got announced that the in season, which isn't new, they've done that I think like the last 2 years. They did Arizona 2 years ago and Miami this last season. But this time what they're doing, instead of one team, they're going to do AFC North, which that's going to give you all 4 teams in that division. So in a way, 4 times the amount of coverage, I guess. I'm really excited about this because that is a division with some strong rivalries across the board, and being able to get both sides, from both teams. Like, I would love to see, hopefully there's like a Steelers Ravens game or something during that time, and we get to get both sidelines reactions to certain plays, or probably a bad call of the week that'll happen, throughout those. So I am really looking forward to that. I just hope it doesn't disappoint, because I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, no, it should be interesting. Hopefully it doesn't get too watered down, since they're spread out across 4 teams, but definitely should be some interesting back and forth segments that could happen when there are interdivisional games, and maybe sometimes content gets stretched out in a week that doesn't have much news on one team. So having 4 different teams to draw from should be good.
It should help cover the bye week slump, if you will, that they usually have to cover.
Absolutely.
All right, Finn, what you got for us?
Well, we've covered Bay Area more than I expected to today, but today was also the day that Klay Thompson left the Warriors and signed a 3-year, $50 million deal with Dallas. If he had to go somewhere, Dallas sounds as good as any, but we moved to Bay Area the late February of 2014. And a few months later, Steve Kerr, who was from the Bulls' second three-peat, ended up being their head coach. So we started watching, and just watching Klay and Green and Curry for the last 10 years has been a pleasure. And so to see him leave after 4 championships, 6 finals appearances, 5 all-star games, and all his game 6 performances and his 37-point score, it's hard to imagine that it's actually happened. I'm still thinking he can't sign that deal till like July 7th. So I'm still hoping that cooler heads prevail and that he comes back. But I mean, he hasn't been the same player the last 2.5 seasons. He's been a step slow. His defense, he hasn't been a lockdown defender. That game 6 Klay mentality hasn't come out with the same consistency. And yeah, he hasn't been peak Klay, but it's hard to let go. That's right.
Definitely a guy that's been hampered by that injury bug a little.
Oh, the 2 seasons of injuries,
too
yeah.
much. But I could see, all 3 of us lived through the Bulls dynasty, and then the downfall and dismantling of them, and seeing some of your favorite players put on another jersey is hard to take. So
Pippen in a Blazers jersey, Jordan in a Wizards jersey. Yeah, some of those are just not easy.
Jordan in a baseball jersey. Is that what you said?
What? Well, he was in that too. That was my senior year in high school. The first 3 years, first 3 titles were my first 3 year in high school, and their second three-peat was my last 3 years in college, first time around. But
Yeah,
it's hard. I mean, I've gotten to see 3 dynasties. I've gotten to see. I was home for the Bulls, and then I wintered a lot when peak LeBron played with the Heat. So I got to watch it. I didn't have any passion for it. And then being able to be a third time, being in Bay Area for all the local games and being around the atmosphere and being 6 stops down on the BART from the Oracle and being able to go to a game. It's just a period of my life too, where Katie and I really got to blossom and grow and travel. And so it's just a whole part of my life. Just this particular one's like, it's real hard to let go. I don't like it. I hate
Save some room for the tiers next to those receipts, Justin, if you would, so that Finn can ship them to you. Some Bay Area, tiers.
Yeah, everyone's feeling real bad for the guy who lived through 6 Bulls championships and
Yeah.
however many Warriors
championships.
And it doesn't look like he's going to get those Trailblazers championships. So we can.
I don't care if I wouldn't give a shit if they did. And I've also lived through 3 IU championships basketball.
So yeah,
you've had more NBA championships, fandom NBA championships, than you've had city managers, and that's saying something clearly.
It's been pretty disgusting out here. Yeah. Fucked up.
Well, as Nat just mentioned, his Hoosier championships that are at this point history.
Right.
I'm gonna transition into my bleeding hearts. Got a couple of little tidbits that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but the Illini have been on an absolute tear in recruiting. Brad Underwood ended up. I don't think he expected to have to replace 11 players this offseason, but this NIL transfer portal and having a senior class that were ready to move on or forced to move on because they were out of eligibility. He has just absolutely reloaded. And in the latest NBA 2025 mock drafts, 2 of the guys they've got coming in are right now being projected as top 20 picks. It's pretty exciting seeing some clips of practice going on, and one of the 2 guys that did return, Ty Rodgers, his biggest knock for the last year was that he didn't have much of a jump shot, and they've got a lot of footage of him pulling up, putting it in from deep. So it'll be exciting to see his development, plus all of the high-level talent that they've brought in. And then one other thing that I'm going to say here as we transition, I'm going to call this bleeding heart, but this leads into our transition to main event time. And that is 1 month. 1 month. We're down to counting weeks now, because 1 month from today, our Chicago Bears will be playing in the first preseason game, Hall of Fame game, against the Houston Texans. So let's start talking about football here in these next few weeks as we really get into a subject that it's not our only subject, but it's the one that galvanizes us together.
100%. It'll be really interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even think about it, honestly. Like, another day. It's a short work week.
Right.
I've got mother-in-law coming into town this week, for 10 days before we, do family vacation or whatever. And so that's the only thing we're really focused on. A month away. I'm excited. I'm trying to temper my excitement for 2 reasons, because a Hall of Fame game has typically been a real stinker of a game, right? But I'm really curious because the situation the Bears are in, how much are we going to see of Caleb Williams? Right?
Oh, I doubt we see. I would imagine, hopefully, that they roll him out there for a series. Being that he's a rookie and he needs game time, he needs action against somebody in a different jersey than what he's wearing. And I won't be surprised. That's another thing that we'll talk about leading up, because one of my biggest knocks on Matt Eberflus, and I'm not going to be, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I wasn't happy that the Bears kept him. Coming
You weren't
off
happy
of
when they
last-
hired him.
I wasn't happy when they. I was not happy when they hired him, and he hasn't done anything to prove me wrong to this point. So, his philosophy of not playing starters and not being ready to come out of the gate week 1 of the regular season has me worried. I hope that with a rookie quarterback, they will prioritize getting him reps on the field before real action starts.
Right. And it's not just a rookie QB at this point, right? And again, we'll talk about this as we get closer, because we'll record probably right before, but we're not talking about just a rookie QB. We're also talking about another rookie receiver. We're talking about a receiver who, while very, very veteran, new to the system, new to the city, like, they need the time. So it will be curious to see what his philosophy, how it changes with the difference now, because before it was all guys that have been on the team, right? And
well, also you have a new
offensive coordinator.
You have a new offensive coordinator who, hopefully he's got
Mr.
the
Waldron.
ability to use his voice in that room to get his guys ready on the field, since Eberflus should be focused on the defense, but in the end, it falls on his head. So,
amen.
They have 4 scheduled preseason games, right? Am I get that right? Where others have 3. So my
Correct.
guess is we're not going to see shit out of them, because it's going to be so quick after training camp. I don't think that first game we're going to get much. And not only that, you got to play Texans week 1 in the regular season too. So,
oh no, they won't have a lot of plays for him. Like I said, maybe one series, but
off tackle left, off tackle right. Yeah.
All right, so we don't need to record right before the Hall of Fame game, because we just covered it. So we'll go ahead and skip back.
That's about what it's going to be.
All right. Well, we're falling into it.
Yeah, we're kind of already are, aren't we?
let's go ahead and hit that main event. Our main event this week, we are going to be talking about that Bears O-line. It came out, PFF has ranked the Chicago Bears O-line as 11th. And their D-line at 27th, but we're going to set aside D-line for now and just focus on the offensive line. We'll touch the D-line another time. How do we feel about that ranking? Finn, I'll start with you, because I know you're chomping at the bit in the section, so I'll start with you. How do you feel about the 11th?
I'm literally intrigued by the fact that they got such a high ranking, and it's only because I expected something like 20, and it's just because you got a new center who hasn't been a full starter in Ryan Bates. You've got Nate Davis, who missed almost 45% of his snaps last year. Tevin Jenkins missed quite a bit too, playing on the other guard spot. That's 60% of your line right there. So I'm like, I'm impressed. Want me to read what they said about it? It's not much. It's like, it says when healthy is one of the top units of the second half of 2023 season. But in Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, Chicago is a promising young offensive tackle duo, and Tevin Jenkins has performed extremely well since moving to guard, earning a 70-plus PFF. But it's like those two have to be healthy, and Bates has to not only get used to it full-time starting, but under a new system under Shane, which, if I remember, he's got experience with Waldron. It's interesting. 11 was a bit high to me. What did you guys think?
Real quick, Bates does have experience at center.
He does, but not full-time.
FYI,
he
he
does,
was the
and
Bills starting center for
Did he start? I thought
not
it was
last
just
year, but the
part-time.
year in 20.
Right.
Oh,
He
you're
barely-
right. 22.
he barely played last year, so that's kind of
35 snaps.
That's
he
what
played.
you're right.
A little
He
concerning.
played 35 snaps at center last year.
and that's not because of his injuries either. So
Yeah,
that
I
was,
think I don't think he hasn't been a career starter. Is what I was trying to get at.
But the year before, in 15 games, he did 947 snaps at center. So it's not like he hasn't put in any time. 940 snaps at center across 15 games is pretty decent.
I was not 100% sold on his signing as the starting center when they signed him. They signed the guy from the Rams whose name is
Coleman Shelton. Coleman
There
Shelton.
you go. Who is another depth piece for that line. I still would have liked to have seen them go for a top end offensive line piece, and center is the place where there's somebody available. Connor Williams is there for the taking if we want him. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I want to get into that piece in just a second, because I want to comment on two things really quick. Number one, Warren Sharp of Sharp's Football Analysis has the Bears actually ranked as the 12th best O-line. So it seems to be pretty consensus that they're the win healthy tag. This is funny to me because I was listening to the podcast, the ESPN podcast that Finn always sends us. And he read the exact same quote. He said, "Win healthy." And I immediately was like, I hate that. Why even put that in there? Because obviously you're rating it from a perspective of assuming everybody's healthy. However, I understand why you have to put that in for this situation, because as mentioned, Tevin Jenkins, as good as he is when he's playing, doesn't seem to make it through, right? The whole Nate Davis situation, which we've touched on before. Right now there's concerns, more so along all y'all than there is for me, because it's OTAs, whatever, I don't care. But as mentioned, Ryan Bates also, he's our starting center as of right now, at least it's assumed, and he hasn't really played. He didn't really play last year, right? He didn't even get reps at guard or tackle, because he was tackle. He did reps at tackle before he moved to center. So he didn't do any tackle reps. So he hasn't played essentially in 2 years. So for them to be ranked that high, it is kind of surprising, but I think it speaks volumes on the expectations for the offense in general. Well, right. It's speaking as a jump of what they expect to see happen. And
part of that,
they blame a lot of the bad performance on Fields from last year.
Right. Well, when you factor in his time to throw, which was last in the league, that means they were giving him that time to be able to throw.
Right.
That's one thing. Their rushing was not bad, but the other thing to factor is injuries plague the league. Man, this is a tough sport, and especially those offensive and defensive lines where it's basically you're running 70 plays a game where you're basically in a car accident running up against somebody else. It's hard to stay healthy for a full season and to not experience any sort of injuries is kind of the luck that the teams that end up being in the playoffs towards the end, that's the luck that they have had, because they were able to really avoid major injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
one other thing I want to touch on. Sorry, Finn, I'm gonna jump in here. One of the things that I think might be contributing to the higher ranking than what we were expecting is, one, as Bears fans, especially over the last couple of years, we just have this perception that our O-line sucks because they've paid no attention to it for years, right? It was just bad. Or when we finally had somebody, we just had bad luck, like with the injury thing. But something to be excited about in my head is that we were keeping our offensive line coach, Chris Morgan, from last year, right? So we have that continuity with basically the same nucleus of players. Really, you're swapping out center at this point in time, right? But you're keeping your O-line coach in that same mentality and philosophy. I think that's really going to help out.
Let's get follow up. Ryan Bates in six seasons has started 19 games. He only had the one real starting year. And then before that, he really didn't start a game before that. So yeah, I still have concern about longevity. It's been untested, but at the same time, you could also call them fresh. Bears did have great rushing stats, but that's because Justin Fields had a tendency to scramble and pick up big chunks of yard, and it got credited into the stats. So they're still with the new offensive line.
More 2 years ago than last year. More 2 years ago.
They still got some good running in.
And also, I'll have it noted that a lot of places don't count scrambles into the rushing stats.
And I
like
think
when you really look at it, they count them out separate.
A lot of his
running
running was on schedule, not off schedule. Also, so
yeah, the planned runs and whatnot.
And as far as the starting thing, because this could probably be a fun conversation. If he played games and he played snaps, I don't care whether he was named the starter or not.
Okay.
That's, if you've got a number 2 running back who really contributes to the team, but you're going to look at him and go, he sucks, he doesn't start. I think you're looking at it through a very narrow scope.
Well, and that would lead to the fact that you could also consider him fresh too, where he didn't do a full 70 snap day. He didn't do full 50 to 70 snaps a day or a game.
And one last thing before we do move on off this line as a whole,
right.
Part of their rankings as a line, really, I think there's a lot of weight given to the tackle positions, and Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright have graded out pretty well.
Yeah,
and those are young guys that are on the up and coming, so to speak. So there is optimism with what you have there on that line.
Absolutely. Darnell Wright, it was an ESPN, Braxton Jones, ESPN article from January. He was ranked 5th in pass block win rates in the league. So, that's pretty darn good. And surprisingly, Lucas Patrick was 14th for interior at the time. So there is some hope in there. And I think a lot of our surprise goes to our perception of just how beat down we are as Bears fans, right? Like we just assume we're going to rank near the bottom of things. We look at how the offense was as a whole and not just that individual line.
Right.
So, but let's circle back because Connor Williams, right? We've talked about it a little bit before. He's still sitting out there. He's mentioned he wants to play center. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play guard or go back to guard. What is he, like 27? He's coming off in an ACL.
Yeah,
how are we?
May birthday. Yeah.
How much better does he make the O-line, or does he make the O-line better? Ben, I know you had like 9,000 notes on Connor Williams. Like
I put them most in the last video. Well, no, it's
9,000. So what do we got?
I was being thoughtful. Like, if that repair holds up, like one of the things about that Justin pointed out in the last video is the fact that he was so light on his feet, and so the question is, does he still have it after an ACL repair? And so is we getting the same guy after the injury as we got before the injury? My two concerns would be health post-injury and if he still has his quickness, or if he has enough quickness to still be valued in a top 10. So otherwise he provides depth and balance, and we could probably get him at a value rate. I think that what we decide the top paid center right now is at 12 million, and he's probably not getting that. And I think the gap's about 4 million between first and 7. So, I mean, we might be able to get him for like 8-9 million, save us 13 to 14 million to probably address the D line in case those young guys don't pick it up next year. That's my thought.
I got to applaud you. You're doing much better today about conciseness.
Well, after
Justin, where are you at here, buddy? How you feeling about Connor Williams? I know you and I discussed it. There's another video out on our YouTube, another bad call on YouTube. Go check it out. Where Justin and I discussed Connor Williams before. But how you feeling about it?
I'm a fan. I don't think it's a secret. He's definitely an upgrade over what we've got, and I like to say we've got Caleb Williams, who is the diamond that we've hopefully stumbled upon here as an organization.
There you
Maybe
go.
finally got our cornerstone QB, and I want to protect him, and I want to protect him with guys who are good, and top 5 players at their position don't come along very often in the free agent
Not
market.
often.
And this guy's coming off an injury, so yeah, there's some baked in risk, but I think I said before, ACLs don't scare me the way they used to. So guys can come back from it and be as good, sometimes better. So
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I wonder how much he'd be willing if he's going to do any kind of actual workouts in front of teams, or if there's going to be enough of a demand for him that it's going to be, no, here I am, who's signing me. That would be interesting to me, because
the market ought to be interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder if they're actually, if anyone's going to hold back, or if someone's going to just going to go all in and take a chance.
My one thing is it's a small sample size with an offense that was predicated on quick passing, right? He didn't have to block for a long time. That's a speed timing offense. Like, I mean, that's just track stars. Let's get the ball out of your hand as quick as you can. That's on the one side, right? Are we going to be able to do that in Chicago? The last 3 years, obviously, it was a different story because we had a different QB who liked to hold on to the ball too long. We have no idea what this is going to happen. But I want to look at it from the other side, because I want to look at it from an optimistic side. Let's say we go get Connor Williams and something happens where a guard goes down, or the Nate Davis situation doesn't work out the way we want it to. If we need to, he can play guard. Not saying he's necessarily willing to, but it gives us a depth spot that I wasn't even thinking about before. So I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of bringing him on anyway when we were talking about upgrading its, center, because as we said, if you can upgrade the position, you upgrade the position. But if you can upgrade the position and add depth at another spot as a just in case for a line that gets hurt a lot. I said it last week, polls, go get the damn man. Just get it done.
I don't know, but I've been looking at some clips from the past, even when he was on the Cowboys, as him going head to head with Aaron Donald and holding his own. Anybody that can hold their own against Aaron Donald,
send us that.
Sign me up.
Send us
Sign
those
me
links,
up.
man.
Bad man.
Send us those links. I want to see them.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Either one of you have anything else to add into the Bears O-line Connor Williams conversation?
It's just going to be interesting with new offensive coordinator, and I agree with Justin. Justin and I are both on the get rid of Eberflus train, so we're holding our breath. We're seeing if all these ingredients can come together and make something incredible.
Cool. Justin, anything to add?
No,
before we dip out?
I think we're good. We got a couple of weeks here where all of us, our schedules are pretty busy, but then by the time we reconvene, we have we'll be able to start zoning in, and really we'll be getting real excited for the football season as training camp starts and everything comes together. It's going to come fast. The summer, don't wish summer away, but football will be here before you know it.
All right, so as we record today, it is Monday, July 1st. As mentioned before, we are a month away with schedules coming up. I believe we're going to look to record in about 3 weeks here, so you'll get a little break from us on that front. But when we come back, we will be looking at those upcoming preseason games. Until then, please make sure that you hit that like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, whatever platform that you're on. And until next time, try to avoid making another bad call.